Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me this morning I have a group of young ladies and an old guy. What we're going to talk about is the Chio Garden that will be starting up here in the spring, which is literally next month. And we have, I asked her, I said, remind me about Chio, it's community, no, it's citizens helping each other, which is exactly what you did last year. So Betty Showers, Fern Vazquez, Michael Graham are here to talk about the 2021 garden program. So who wants to start this off?
Fern.
Well, we are picking up where we left off, and we already have the garden in play. I have to say this is different from last year because we didn't really start thinking about this until April last year.
Right, you got a late
So
start.
I got a late start, so I have my potatoes in tow for planting. I have, we already have who's plowing up and doing the rototillering work. That's going to be done sometime in April. And we looked hard. We had what were our lessons learned from last year, and some of the lessons that were learned is that maybe we'll plant slightly different, an emphasis on slightly different things because we know what went well and what went less well.
Right. And some things take less people to take care of. And,
True
and
enough.
some things take a lot of work.
Well, I just found like the whole thing took a lot of work.
What amazed me about the thing was the kind of people in the community that came forward and helped you in this project.
Absolutely.
And that really surprised me. Well, it didn't surprise me, but I was kind of maybe overwhelmed. I thought, wow, I mean, from all ages.
Yes.
And parents bringing their kids and,
Yes.
and some more mature people like Michael came and did a lot of work. And I was surprised. I seen him, post-hole diggers, and he was sweating.
Mike worked very, very hard. In fact,
We just think he's brain powered, but he put some muscle
no,
out.
he did. He refers to that as the hardest working day of his life
For a long time. I mean,
for a long time.
For a long
Yes.
time.
But no, seriously, I mean, we're making fun of Michael, but there's a lot of people, and things just came together. I mean, like the irrigation and the lot and the water, it just all kind of, people came together in the community and just made this thing happen. And what I'm interested in is we're going to make it happen again. And I understand that you got some good news about how much better it's going to be this year.
Well, we think it's going to be better. I mean, you learn from the previous year, so I think we can get some new efficiencies in there. We already have our volunteer list and the way that we have volunteers sign up, so that wasn't something that has to be reinvented.
Right.
And we'll probably have some additional garden space. Not everything is, absolute yet, but it's coming together. One of the things that might be doing, we're working with Skyline High School.
Right.
And Skyline High School has a garden that they're going to plant. The students are planning it. So it's not like 100%, this is all produce driven, but they are going to have produce. We're going to be working with them. They'll be on the distribution list for getting produce out there. And I'm hoping that they will also participate in our garden. So it's, if you get a new coalition going, that's always a plus. There are the possibilities of some other gardens too. We're working out some of the final details.
So have some partnerships going.
Having some partnerships going, which is another part of the having the community work together.
Right.
And
Well, people have their own private gardens. I don't know if you ever planted squash, you get a lot of squash out of a little tiny space. And I remember people bringing it into the office. I got these 4 baskets full. Help me get rid of it. So
Yeah.
we could have that as well. Now we have a kind of this distribution has always been the problem.
yeah.
Is getting things distributed.
Yeah, but we have all our distribution contacts, and we don't have to go back and remake those.
Well, I want to just point out one thing quick too. Is we had Larry from CCAP in here over the summer, and
Yes.
he put a lot of good comments about the garden and how much produce you provided to CCAP.
Yes.
And it was just really, he really appreciated it. It was something that they just couldn't, afford to do or
Yeah.
always had available. And the garden produced a lot of produce. So
Yeah, I think we gave them, I think it was a little less than 500 pounds
that's a
of
lot.
produce.
500 pounds of lettuce is a lot of lettuce.
It wasn't all, it was the cucumbers and the squash that
Tomatoes.
brought that weight up.
Peppers, all that.
Well,
Kind
I
of
know,
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's 500 pounds. It might not sound
Well,
like a lot.
that's just one location, though, Mike. We I guess gave
Well,
2 or 3 different locations.
Yeah, I think you had over 2,000 pounds of
Yeah, we had
of
almost 2
produce.
tons of produce. So.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, they know.
That was
These
a
guys
lot of
know
picking.
a lot
Yeah,
more than
that was a
anything
lot
else,
of
but they
picking,
were
right,
doing
Betty?
it.
They
So if
love
we
it.
have another garden this year, we're gonna have twice as much.
I know.
Well, but
Betty
that's
and I
what-
were out there many times at 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, and trying to get things picked.
But that's why we're here, because things are changing a little bit. Okay, what you have here is you need really a triad for each garden. Okay, each of us had a specific task. Of course, I was the muscle, which
Sure,
that's
sure, I know.
been clearly identified here. These are the face people out there
Yes.
that actually set up the logistics and storage and collection of all the materials. So to do one of these gardens, you need at least 3 people having these specific tasks that they have to do. Like I said, the logistics of the garden, just getting it together, took a lot of time. Whereas it took a lot of time with Betty and Fern got involved when all of a sudden you had to actually start picking it and storing it and delivering it. The good news is that we have the system in place that we can add to that. I mean, we can bring more food to CCAP if they have other gardens. We have several challenges this year. The challenges this year is that some of the county supervisors have challenged us to bring on 2 or 3. They really wanted 5 additional gardens. And we said, well, certainly if that's the case. Right now we have identified, about 2 locations now. One out in going toward 522, Riverton, not the Riverton, that's what's the golf course out there, Betty?
522,
Yeah.
Front Royal Golf Course?
Yeah, I mean, what's that area called out there?
Cedarville,
Oh,
Cedar-
Cedarville.
Is it
Cedarville.
Cedar?
Another name.
Riverton.
Riverton is
Riverton.
in front of the bridge. Anyway,
Don't
They don't know
confuse
where
us.
they're at.
it is out there somewhere.
On the
but-
corridor, the direction of
out the corridor, out that
Okay,
way.
okay.
You know,
Out towards Walmart.
out toward Walmart. And what's going to happen now is that we will as our group, we have already established the distribution and the logistics for them to follow in. What we don't have, and we don't have time to do it, is to find 3 people that are going to take these gardens. And one of the reasons why we're coming on today is that we need someone like myself that knows a little bit about gardening, that does the logistics, get the plants and line them up, and then of course you have a lot of volunteers actually put them in the ground and recruit that. And then of course the weeding and the taking care of the garden and the picking and everything else, and then the distribution is the next level. And you really need 2 people. When you have 3 people doing it, it's not that bad.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So you really need 3 people for each garden we go into, and our appeal today is if somebody wants to volunteer and be that person, they will have us here to be able to coach them and help them out on a lot of the stuff that they don't have to get involved with because we already have it in place.
Yeah, nothing worse than we get it right to the end and then it stays in the ground.
Yeah,
And we
Right.
don't want that.
right.
Again, that's the appeal today, is to find those few individuals that we can find in our community. And I know they're out there.
Yeah,
Sure.
And don't hesitate. Don't think, well, someone else is going to step forward. There'll be a phone number in the story for you to call one of these ladies here and Michael to get that moving and get on the list, because maybe they'll need more than 3, so step up.
well, Mike, we need somebody to put some posts in the ground. And I think you could be the man to step up on that one.
I'd have to delegate that responsibility. I'm a good delegator.
Well, we have a great community, and the people are all willing to help, so I think we'll get a lot of calls.
I think so. This morning I was over at a FREMA meeting and somebody already asked me. I said, well, I have to leave early because I'm going to come and talk to Betty and Fern and Michael. And they said, well, is Betty still involved? I said, absolutely. Oh, good, good. I'm going to call her today. So hopefully there'll be a volunteer there for you. So they were aware. I mean, that shows the community awareness of the program. And, we tried to do all we could to promote it, and I think we did, and I think the community stepped forward. I think it's just a great thing, and maybe not everybody, but the ones that were involved really benefited. Like you say, the giving their time is where it's like giving is where the blessing is.
It is.
Yes.
It's not
It
just
is.
getting, people that got the food, they were happy to get it, but the people that produced it and picked it and grew, that giving of themselves is where they really, that was the blessing.
It makes you feel good about yourself.
Sure. when you
Yeah.
feel like, when you're helping
Right.
people, you know.
And we
And
know
ex-
the
And
community.
exercise is always good for you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So that you get. One of the things I think we're hoping to add this year, this is one of the things that's still in the pending category, but we're hoping to add canning this year. So part of the gardens may be just earmarked for, like, tomatoes from this garden are going to go toward canning. So we're hoping to add that element to our garden this year.
I know last year you were scattering us, you know, going around looking for mason jars, you know.
Yeah.
And I brought you my stash that I had, and they were tiny ones, but
I've got 400 of them. Now we just need somebody that knows how to can.
yes. Well, and that's
We'll
a whole
get that.
nother
We'll
art.
get that.
That's another art in itself as well.
Yeah.
Is taking all these steps require a little bit of knowledge from someone
Right.
who knows
Yeah.
how to do these things.
Well, the plan this year, if it works out, we've already identified 2 kitchens, which are commercial type
Sure.
of kitchens. And we figured about once a week is all we really need is someone to come in and because when it comes in, like you said, the squash and the green beans, they all come in seem at the same time.
Right.
We don't want to overpower some of the drop-off spots. So what we'll do is we'll take some of that, like Fern says, and can it, store it, and then they can give it out during the winter months.
Yeah.
And that's I think we're moving pretty much ahead on that. And so like we bring in these other gardens, it'll be even more important. I think a great goal for us is if we bring in 2 additional gardens and we get people like us to kind of shepherd them through the system.
Sure.
But there's I mean, it was rewarding. It was, from my standpoint, it was rewarding because we were actually located down on the corner of Kreiser and Luray Avenue. And of course, that's a big dog walking
Sure.
workout
Yeah, you're
facility.
a big
there.
dog walker.
And people would walk by and just kind of say, "Hey, what are you guys doing down here?" And we had our big sign up there,
Yeah.
and they would come in, and next thing you know, they would just be there helping. And Fern ran into several people who actually just took charge. I mean, one guy was designed all of our beans. You know, put a whole fencing area around our beans and everything else. Helped our tomato plants. So, you know, if you like to work, just drop in and we can put them together. But we had 25, 30 volunteers for our. And that was, I mean, we had a big turnout first day when we were planting.
Sure. Well, that's when you need them. You
yeah.
need a lot of fingers, a lot of hands.
And this year we're having pretty aggressive, since we have a little bit of time. Fern is, you want to tell them about the church, trying to get the churches signed up and stuff?
Yeah, what our goal is there are 60 churches in Warren County. And we're trying to see if maybe one church or maybe a church, several small churches could combine together and just say, for 1 week, we'll take care of the garden. We'll take care of the picking.
Kind of like what they do with the thermal shelter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 1 week, we'll do this. So we have a growing season of maybe like 10, 12 weeks. So if we could get 10 or 12 weeks of this, we would have, the additional help, that we need. I mean, if we're talking about a couple gardens, now that would involve a
Sure.
little bit more. But if you're looking at 60 churches, you would think the math might work for you.
Out.
Might
And
work for
it's
you.
not overwhelming any one particular
No, it
person.
isn't.
Because once you commit to this is a lot of work. I mean, you just can't do it for a day, then stop. Once you put that seed in the ground, it's going to produce.
Right.
And that's a good idea. I think that's something, anyone that's done a garden or has this great idea, I want a garden in my backyard and really have never done it before, this might be a good opportunity to come in, learn the gardening skills that you need to know,
Yeah.
and maybe you might not want a garden. but it'd be great to learn these skills. This is an opportunity for a lot of people to do something without taking on that big commitment of having all that squash left over in your backyard.
I was really impressed last year. One of the things that I worked really hard on was to get moms with children who are 8, 10, 12, 14. I mean, sometimes the teenagers don't like to do it so much,
No.
but they should be encouraged. But just to make this a regular event for them. And there are enough people who appreciate gardening, enough moms who appreciate gardening, and I'm sure fathers too, that want their kids to be a part of something like that, to be exposed to that. And maybe they don't have a way to have a garden at their house, but this is a way that you can learn. Well, this is what a cucumber looks like. This is what it looks like
Sure.
before it gets to the store.
Well, people don't be surprised
Yeah, no,
that really don't know where our food comes from.
Right.
Yeah.
They just Walmart. I mean, that's all they know, or Martin's. They don't really realize that there's a process
Yeah.
Right.
where this stuff comes from. They just really don't know. I noticed that last spring, of course, the schools were closed down, so you had a lot of children were available
Yes.
with stay-home parents and a lot of homeschoolers and different things that we have. So hopefully that'll, with our virtual
And some of the
system,
mothers incorporated it into their
education
into
process.
the education
homeschool-
process.
large
Most homeschoolers
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
know.
and
I
that's
remember
good.
someone that we're going to the Smithsonian. That's an education day. We're going down to Washington. Took the kids, throw them in the car, and it was a whole class on
Right.
history and things. So
Yes.
they do that a lot different than they do in a more regimented education
Right.
program.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Everything's an adventure and everything is education. And I think this is just one more thing that would do. I just think it's just a great project that you all have
Right.
taken on, and I can just see bigger and better things. I know the county, and when Walt Mabe was the chairman last year, he's a proponent of the
we
garden.
really appreciate, Walt
and
was
he
really
did
gave us a
and
lot of help.
He is all about feeding
People.
Warren County,
Doing the
and
community.
he's done a great job. The county, I mean, they've got the free school food. This is a lot because someone took it and pushed it, and he's all about that. And the garden was an important part. I noticed it was just. The other day they were talking at the school board meeting that they had served over 800,000 meals.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Can you
Yes,
imagine
that's a
that?
lot.
I mean, we just can't imagine the volume of stuff going. And the grocery stores are still busy. So we're feeding a lot of people that are under the radar.
And I was going to add to your what you said about we don't realize the volume, but we also don't sometimes realize what the problem is because it's not part of our everyday life.
Exactly.
Something that we see. But I became more aware of it last year. That was part of my education of understanding that there is a
Tremendous
food
need.
there is a need in our county. And as other counties as well,
Sure.
but here it was more up close and personal to realize that.
All right, so what do we need first? What are we looking for? Volunteers.
Volunteers.
Yeah, volunteers.
We
Well,
always
no,
need
no.
volunteers, but
Yeah.
Well, we have identified 2 other areas, okay?
are we going back to the original location as
Yeah,
well?
Yes.
we,
Yeah.
we will continue to do what we do on the original location.
Okay.
We have 2 other locations that are stepping up, and they have both the availability of water, okay, and the land to do it, okay? That's good. Now what we're recruiting is 3 people like us for each of those gardens.
We need some
okay?
team leaders.
We need some team leaders to do this. So that's the first thing. The second thing is once we do that is we'll have a big meeting because we have certain resources. Like right now, the Blue Ridge services down here, since they have had this trouble with the COVID and everything else, their greenhouse is available, and what they're doing is they're actually growing some of from seeds. So this year we won't have to go out and buy so much, for plants. We're talking about what we were talking squash, zucchinis. Those are usually good ones that you kind of plant.
Yeah.
They're going to try tomatoes. I don't know, but they've already started. So we have a lot of seeds.
Right, and we
which-
may do some, I'm sorry for interrupting, but they may try to do some earlier planting with some of the cooler weather crops as well, like
Right.
spinach and
Peas.
kale and, things like that that are started.
So you mentioned the potatoes. You didn't grow potatoes last year,
We
did
couldn't find them.
Yeah, they were all
And that
gone.
was part of the,
late.
too late.
Too late.
Yeah, but this year, I've already made calls and, gotten some commitments.
Fern is
and-
hell bent
When
on
do they
getting
have to
getting
plant it?
potatoes.
I want to get
She wants potatoes in
potatoes
this
are
garden
good.
this year. She's already told me that. She wants potatoes.
That's a good one to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's you want sustenance, okay? And potatoes are sustenance.
Right.
Well, it's a great work, and again, so we need some team leaders
For the other 2 gardens.
for the other 2 gardens, and of course, we want to get everyone on this volunteer list. Maybe some churches that want to step forward and think about it, or other organizations that could look at it and say, "I'll take that week."
Even
That's a really
I
great
didn't
idea.
even think about the homeschool people. We have a very large homeschool environment here. That would be a great summer program. The school was recruiting some of the clubs and sports teams to do it if they do one up around
Sure.
the high school. So I think volunteers. Okay, number 1, you need some team leaders. Number 2, you need some people to volunteer. 3, it takes probably about $2,000 per garden to start it up. And what that includes is you have to have a solar fence, because there's nothing more frustrating to wait till you're ready to pick, and all of a sudden the critters know, sixth sense knows that it's ready to go the day before.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta have one, and you have to have a drip system, because a lot of the farms lost a lot of their produce when we had that 3 or 4 week of nothing but really hot, dry.
Right.
And we were having bumper crops, and everybody else a lot of the stuff died out. So you have to have a drip system, and we're prepared. We can help them get that drip system. Last year we had one donated to us, so we can either go back and try to get another donation, or it's very low cost. We got the expertise to actually put it in.
You know how to do it now.
Yeah, we know how to do it now. So those are the two critical things at any garden: is your solar fence and your drip system. The produce itself, we've gotten a lot of seeds donated to us this year. So I think we have enough beans to probably keep Warren County in beans all next year. And that's a good crop, and so we can help them with supplying that. There will be some costs of actually have to buying some plants, and like I said, we have raised quite a bit of money to help our garden this year. So we don't think we're going to need anything. We have some money in the kitty to help these other new gardens coming up, but we're going to need more.
Sure.
And the way we have set it up for everybody, it is we are tied into, I think it's the Northern Virginia Community Foundation, which is out of Winchester. They have a special account for us, and all the donations will be written to them in care of the Chio Garden.
Okay.
And that goes into our little bank account, and like I said, it's tax deductible.
Sure.
And so you get your tax deduction, and anything from $25 to we've had donations up to $500 to $1,000 for our gardens, and so that's been really appreciated in the community stepping out. So we have a mechanism in which people can give if you don't have the time, and of course we would really prefer to have people spend some time. And like Fern outlined on our program, for a church that, let's say, we'll take the week of July 4th through the 11th.
Sure.
If we send 2 or 3 people over every day, we don't need more. Do we need more than
No.
2 or 3
No.
people every
No.
day?
No.
I guess it's not a lot of people. It's just dedicated.
Consistency, right?
Yeah.
You got to be
takes time.
consistent.
Yeah, you got to be
Takes
consistent.
And if we know that, we know that this particular church is going to take this week, and then Fern and Betty can help just ride down there and help. It's okay. Get it over here, bring it over here, take it over to this place, and we can help them do it. I think we've done most of the heavy lifting, other than when Mike comes out and puts posts in the ground. These new
Yeah, that'll be some
new
additional
things.
heavy
But,
lifting.
I'll bring my camera and watch Mike put more posts in the ground.
well, what we basically need.
We're going to
what-
video you.
It's a photo opportunity. That's all you're going to
That's
get.
right. We're going to video you.
Well, if anybody out there has an extra, they call post hole digger, not post hole diggers, but it's like a thing you put the post
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the ground with.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were doing it with a
No,
sledgehammer.
that doesn't work.
trying
You
to,
need one of those little
about,
tool there.
yeah, that about killed me. I
They
was
work
sore.
great. Yeah, they work.
Oh yeah, it takes a long time. But if we got one of those little things, can pound them in the ground, that would be great.
Yeah.
We might have one.
Or you
It's
might
I'll
have one.
have to
Ram,
look in
yeah.
the building.
Okay.
I know we have a tiller that's almost brand new,
Well,
if we need that.
They were going to do a garden in their backyard, and that never materialized.
that's right. Or they do it once, and like you said, don't want to do it anymore.
we did it, and we tried to put them even. So one year, of course, same what happened. The deer, we fed all the deer in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and then the next year we'll put them in buckets up on the deck. Well, then we fed all the squirrels.
Squirrels,
So we give that up. So
Right.
that's good. Let me ask you, just curious, was there any one thing that you did last year, or a food, an item, or did you plan that you're not going to do this year?
Yes,
Under her
there
breath,
is.
she said something.
Yes, yeah. Well, one of the things that we looked at, what did our soil acclimate to?
Sure.
So we found out that cabbages, as beautiful as they are a little hard to grow and very prone to disease and bugs and that kind of thing. The second thing that we're probably not going to do is some things like radishes and carrots. I would love to have some carrots in, but it's, we just know what works better. And if you just look at your space and you say, what is the most efficient use of this space? How can I get the most bang for my buck out of this space? That's the question that we ask.
Right.
So we won't be doing some of those smaller items, But where last year, I think we tried to be very diverse and
Yeah.
a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And then this year we'll probably devote more space to tomatoes, to the things that are very popular with people
Right.
that people
And you can
really
can
like.
tomatoes, too.
And you
Right.
can can tomatoes. So we'll continue with our tomatoes and also peppers, cucumbers, people like that, squash, zucchini.
Beans.
And beans, of course. So we'll maybe tend toward
And
planting
potatoes.
And potatoes.
Potatoes.
And
Yes,
potatoes.
that's
That's
it.
important.
Gotta get the potatoes
And you
in
can
there.
can potatoes. I mean,
Really?
oh yes.
Yeah. Well, Mike, maybe that might be where you can help.
And I'll have them. I'll throw them in the microwave and have a baked potato before they won't last. But they keep a long time, and you can store
Yeah,
them in
they
your
do.
basement over at the Few Self
There you
Florist.
go.
They just need a dry, cool place.
And she has that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I mean, here's the offer for you. Now, this is we've never given this to anybody else.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
thank
here we
you.
go.
You know, Mike, for a small donation, we can dedicate the Michael McCool tomato patch,
Yeah.
if you would like to.
Oh, I get naming rights.
You get,
Oh,
you know,
there you go.
you
We'll
bu-
put up a sign.
We'll put up. You even put up a sign.
I'd have to make the sign though.
Yeah, we'll probably have to
donate
donate that.
But hey, we got naming rights. If you can't do
Yeah.
anything else, they'll sell you the naming rights of the Chio garden. You know?
Yeah, well.
Garden number 3 will be, the Michael Graham garden. But or in memory of someone. I mean, seriously, there's so many opportunities for the community to come together that. Maybe you had a loved one that is really into gardening. This is a great opportunity maybe to
Yeah.
send some funds or some people that way to come and do work
Right,
for
in
people. I mean, a
memory
lot of
of
people do
someone.
things for all sorts of reasons, and this is a great opportunity for the community to continue to give back to each other. Really, I mean, you're helping yourself and helping your neighbor, and
Right.
it's just you just can't say any good things about it enough good things about it.
Yeah.
And we're so happy that the three of you and others, not just you, I know there's a
Yeah,
whole
there've been
team
many
of people
others. Yes,
that have
there
come
are many
together
others.
that
Like
we
25.
really don't even know who they are. I mean, the public, they have showed up every day, every week.
Yeah.
They brought the irrigation system, the Eastoms that allowed you to use the property, they
Yep.
got the water.
Yep.
It's just, everything just came together for this garden, and I think that it's just a great thing that's happened. I think your rewards will be laid up in heaven for you.
I like to call it the gift that keeps on
It
giving.
does keep on giving. Them squash just you don't even have to replant them, right?
Oh, no, squash was
No.
great. But Fern's goal is to do 4 tons of food out of our garden this year, and with
Well,
potato weight,
that's why
that might help.
That's why she.
That's why I went with the potatoes.
That's why she wants the potatoes because they're heavy.
Well, we had
Watermelons are
the,
heavy.
the big debate. The big debate was, should we go with sweet potatoes? But we don't seem to. That doesn't seem to be, or no, yams. What we call them, yams. or
Yams, sweet
yams?
potatoes.
There are yams, and I have them in the queue.
Oh boy.
There's a small part of the population that will eat them. It's kind of like the
Yes.
Brussels sprout team. There's a few people that will eat them, but
Well, we'll plant a few. That one, yeah. I mean, obviously the bulk I
if you
think
can
is
give
going to
those to
be
someone else, I won't need any.
Yukon Gold, and there's a couple other types of potatoes, the red potatoes.
Would you
Yukon
believe
Gold.
that 2 years ago she didn't know any of this stuff?
I know. Well, it's true. She thought, she thought they all were at Walmart and Martin's and Aldi's and things.
I thought she was going to wear bibs in today. To be honest with you.
Yeah. She really. I mean, I seen her with that big floppy hat on, and she really got into it.
She got into it really big time.
You want to share about our website and everything, or Facebook page? Or?
Yes, we do have a Facebook page, Chio Garden, and I think I can't remember the website name.
We'll put all that in
We'll
the
put all
story,
that in
the
the
links
story,
there, so
yeah.
that people can get more
Right.
information.
Right.
And I think we've dug this down in the ground as far as we can go. But there's just we can't say enough good things about the garden, and we want you to be part of it. And get hold of one of these 3 individuals here, and go to the Facebook page, join the group, go to the website, find out some more information, put your email address in there.
Yes.
It's just so many different things you can do, small or big, and there's opportunities to do something to help the community this year with the Chio Garden program. So,
But Mike, one thing, Fern was, another one besides potatoes, was the herbs for the local restaurants.
you did some of
Yes.
that last year
Oh,
as well.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did. It was very successful. So I'd like to plant a few more herbs when I went around. And basically what we're doing is just targeting the restaurants on Main Street because we don't have enough to take around, and some
Sure.
of them are a commercial change, and,
Sure,
and
sure.
they have their rules. So to add like mint and a coriander or cilantro. Some restaurants say most of the foods, a lot of the foods that we prepare involve those herbs. So we are trying to be sensitive to that.
What's a great, I call that a herb garden.
A herb
Herb. So yeah, that's great. It's cilantro, I like it, but some people don't. It's kind of, it falls into the Brussels sprout.
Well, basil seems to be the hot one.
Yeah,
Is it?
basil
Yes.
and, well, we
They're
had,
easy to grow. I mean, if you
yeah,
just
it
got the
is.
right.
Right.
if
Well,
you
they
take
pay
care
a
of
tremendous amount of money. See, what we didn't realize that they pay a huge amount of money for herbs in restaurants. So when we walked in with all these free herbs, they were just going crazy. So
Yeah.
That's what you want. You want
Yeah, one of the restaurateurs said, I can make some pesto now. She said, I didn't have any
Well, you know,
basil, but now I can make
well,
some
you know,
pesto.
and buying it, dried and ground, it's just not the same as fresh.
Right,
Right.
You know,
right.
so that's the difference, and that's the great thing about it. All this produce was fresh produce,
fresh produce.
Yeah.
and it's just something about that.
Well, the
It
last
makes it
plug we
nice.
have to say to
Okay.
close is that the businesses here between Rural King and Lowe's and
Ramsey's.
Ramsey's,
And Royal Examiner.
And the Royal Examiner.
You really threw me off now on that one. Mike.
So
You
don't,
took it right out of me on
so
that one.
don't forget
Yes, Royal
Southern
King.
States.
Southern States were absolutely
Yeah,
marvelous.
the community has come together.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, they were so gracious, and when you're running around crazy, and the donating of some live plants and
Sure.
things like that would just really, it was really touching that the community would step out like that. And in close, I would say, what the amazing thing is that most of the people who came to our garden were all come-heres. They had just come here. They think this place is just the greatest thing since sliced bread. They said, wow, we've been looking for a community garden, and now we're out here, and here it is, and everything else. So I hope that we get the people who were born here, more volunteerism comes out from the people who've been here for a while, and not just the people who just come here and think this is great.
Right. And being a community garden, it's great we three are here, but without the community helping us, we can't have it.
Right.
We need our community.
It's all got to come together.
That's all come together.
Oh, that's great. Well, but someone's got to drive the boat. What I always say,
Right.
someone's got, and we
Mike, should we
appreciate.
sing Old MacDonald Had a
No,
Farm
I
here
think-
as we close? No?
You may sing.
No, I think we're going to wrap this thing up. but
Wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. And again, if you want to be part of this community garden, please check out the links in the story. Get on there and participate. And we do appreciate everything that you all are doing. And thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Looking forward to it.